Hello and welcome to Richard August, the autistic Christian MGTOW, the red pill man who lights it up blue. This is Yea, the Bible saith this. Today's Bible readings are from Ezekiel, chapters 40 and 41. As always, they're from my 1560 edition of the Geneva Bible, and we begin in prayer. Lord, open thou our hearts to hear, and by thy word to us draw near. Let us thy word still pure retain. Let us thy children and heirs remain, in Jesus' name. Amen. Ezekiel chapter 40. In the 25th year of our being in captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year, after that the city was smitten, in the selfsame day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and brought me thither. Into the land of Israel brought he me by a divine vision, and set me upon a very high mountain, whereupon was as the building of a city toward the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man, whose similitude was to look to like brass, with a linen thread in his hand, and a reed to measure with. And he stood at the gate, and the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee, for to the intent that they might be showed thee art thou brought hither. Declare all that thou seest unto the house of Israel. And behold, I saw a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand was a reed to measure with, of 6 cubits long, by the cubit, and an handbreadth. So he measured the breadth of the building with one reed, and the height with one reed. Then came he unto the gate, which looketh toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and measured the post of the gate, which was one reed broad, and the other post of the gate, which was one reed broad. And every chamber was one reed long, and one reed broad, and between the chambers were 5 cubits, and the post of the gate by the porch of the gate within was one reed. He measured also the porch of the gate within with one reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate of 8 cubits, and the posts thereof of 2 cubits, and the porch of the gate was inward. And the chambers of the gate eastward were 3 on this side and 3 on that side. They 3 were of one measure, and the posts had one measure on this side and one on that side. And he measured the breadth of the entry of the gate 10 cubits, and the height of the gate 13 cubits. The space also before the chambers was 1 cubit on this side, and the space was 1 cubit on that side. And the chambers were 6 cubits on this side, and 6 cubits on that side. He measured then the gate from the roof of a chamber to the top of the gate. The breadth was 25 cubits, door against door. He made also posts of 60 cubits, and the posts of the court and of the gate had one measure round about. And upon the forefront of the entry of the gate, unto the forefront of the porch of the gate within were 50 cubits. And there were narrow windows in the chambers, and in their posts within the gate round about, and likewise to the arches. And the windows went round about within, and upon the posts were palm trees. Then brought he me into the outward court, and lo, there were chambers, and a pavement made for the court round about, and 30 chambers were upon the pavement. And the pavement was by the side of the gates, over against the length of the gates, and the pavement was beneath. Then he measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate without, unto the forefront of the court within, 100 cubits eastward and northward. And the gate of the outward court that looked toward the north measured he after the length and breadth thereof. And the chambers thereof were 3 on this side, and 3 on yet side. And the posts thereof and the arches thereof were after the measure of the first gate. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. And their windows and their arches, with their palm trees, were after the measure of ye gate that looketh toward the east, and the going up unto it had 7 steps, and the arches thereof were before them. And the gate of the inner court stood over against the gate toward the north and toward the east, and he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. After yet he brought me toward the south, and lo, there was a gate toward the south, and he measured the posts thereof, and the arches thereof according to those measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof round about like those windows, the height was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. And there were 7 to go up to it, and the arches thereof were before them, and it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side upon the posts thereof. And there was a gate in the inner court toward the south, and he measured from gate to gate toward ye south 100 cubits. And he brought me into ye inner court by ye south gate, and he measured the south gate according to those measures, and the chambers thereof, and ye posts thereof, and ye arches thereof, according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof round about it was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. And the arches round about were 25 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward the outer court, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, and the going up to it had 8 steps. Again he brought me into the inner court toward the east, and he measured the gate according to those measures. And the chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof were according to these measures. And there were windows therein, and in the arches thereof round about it was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward ye utter court, and the palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that side. And the going up to it had 8 steps. After he brought me to the north gate, and measured it according to these measures, the chambers thereof, the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, and there were windows therein round about. The height was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. And the posts thereof were toward the utter court, and the palm trees were upon the posts thereof on this side and on that side, and the going up to it had 8 steps. And every chamber and the entry thereof was under ye posts of the gates. There they washed the burnt offering. And in the porch of the gate stood 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, upon the which they slew the burnt offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering. And at the side beyond the steps, at the entry of the north gate, stood 2 tables, and on the other side, which was at ye porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on yet side by the side of ye gate, even 8 tables whereupon they slew their sacrifice. And the 4 tables were of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of 1 cubit and an half long, and 1 cubit and an half broad, and 1 cubit high. Whereupon also they laid the instruments wherewith they slew the burnt offering and the sacrifice. And within were borders an hand broad, fastened round about, and upon the tables lay the flesh of the offering. And without the inner gate were the chambers of the singers in the inward court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was toward the south, and one was at the side of the east gate, having the prospect toward the north. And he said unto me, This chamber, whose prospect is toward the south, is for the priests that have charge to keep ye house. And the chamber whose prospect is toward the ye north is for the priests that have the charge to keep the altar. These are the sons of Zadok among the sons of Levi, which may come near to the Lord to minister unto him. So he measured the court 100 cubits long, and 100 cubits broad, even 80. Likewise the altar that was before the house. And he brought me to the porch of the house, and measured the posts of the porch, 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on that side. And the breadth of the gate was 3 cubits on this side, and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the breadth 11 cubits. And he brought me by ye steps, whereby they went up to it, and there were pillars by the posts, one on this side, and another on that side. Ezekiel chapter 41. Afterward he brought me to the temple, and measured the posts, 6 cubits broad on the one side, and 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle. And the breadth of the entry was 10 cubits, and the sides of the entry were 5 cubits on ye one side, and 5 cubits on ye other side. And he measured the length thereof 40 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. Then went he in and measured the posts of the entry 2 cubits, and the entry 6 cubits, and the breadth of the entry 7 cubits. So he measured the length thereof 20 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits, before the temple. And he said unto me, This is the most holy place. After he measured the wall of the house 6 cubits, and the breadth of every chamber 4 cubits round about the house, on every side. And the chambers were chamber upon chamber, 33 foot high, and they entered into the wall made for the chambers, which was round about the house, yet the posts might be fastened therein, and not be fastened in the wall of the house. And it was large, and went round, mounting upward to the chambers, for the stair of the house was mounting upward, round about the house. Therefore ye house was larger upward. So they went up from the lowest chamber to ye highest by the midst. I saw also the house high round about. Ye foundations of the chambers were a full reed of 6 great cubits. The thickness of the wall which was for the chamber without was 5 cubits, and that which remained was the place of the chambers that were within. And between the chambers was the widance of 20 cubits round about the house on every side. And the doors of the chambers were toward the place that remained, one door toward the north, and another door toward the south. And the breadth of the place that remained was 5 cubits round about. Now the building that was before the separate place toward the west corner was 70 cubits broad. And the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick round about, and the length 90 cubits. So he measured the house 100 cubits long, and the separate place, and the building with the walls thereof were 100 cubits long. Also the breadth of the forefront of the house and of the separate place toward the east was 100 cubits. And he measured the length of the building over against ye separate place, which was behind it, and the chambers on the one side and on the other side 100 cubits, with the temple within, and the arches of the court. The posts and the narrow windows and the chambers round about on 3 sides over against the posts, filled with cedar wood round about, and from ye ground up to ye windows, and ye windows were sealed. And from above the door unto the inner house and without, and by all the wall round about, within and without, it was sealed according to the measure. And it was made with cherubims and palm trees, so that a palm tree was between a cherub, and every cherub had 2 faces. So that the face of a man was toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a lion toward the palm tree on the other side. Thus was it made through all the house round about. From the ground unto above the door were cherubims and palm trees, made as in the wall of the temple. The posts of the temple were squared, and thus to look unto was the similitude and form of the sanctuary. The altar of the wood was 3 cubits high, and the length thereof 2 cubits. And the corners thereof, and the length thereof, and the sides thereof were of wood. And he said unto me, This is the table that shall be before the Lord. And the temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors, and the doors had 2 wickets, even 2 turning wickets, 2 wickets for one door and 2 wickets for another door. And upon the doors of the temple there were made cherubims and palm trees, like as was made upon the walls, and there were thick planks upon the forefront of the porch without, and there were narrow windows and palm trees on the one side, and on the other side by the sides of the porch, and upon ye sides of the house, and thick planks. May God add His richest blessing to this reading of His holy word. Thank you for watching and listening. This has been Richard August, the autistic Christian MGTOW, the red pill man who lights it up blue. This has been Yea, the Bible saith this. I invite you to like and share this video with others and to subscribe to my video channels. And better yet, I invite you back tomorrow for further reading in the book of Ezekiel.